Hi, my name is Giovanni. Welcome back to my small cubicle of the internet. Sit down, grab a seat. Nurses are quitting their job. They are upset. The healthcare industry has pushed them over the edge as far as bedside nursing. Let's get into it.
I'm considering quitting my full-time nursing job to pursue my social media. So y'all heard the story about the nurse that stopped nursing and she bought her house in the Hamptons and bought a Range Rover. Like, it's really crazy somebody can go from a career like nursing and then making that kind of money off social media. I'm literally thinking about quitting full-time bedside nursing to really push my social media. When I tell you, I am so drained, and I didn't even have a bad shift last night. I'm just getting off. Like, my patients weren't bad. I really have nothing to complain about, and I'm so drained. I think I'm starting to realize what burnout actually feels like because, mind you, I've only been a nurse for 3 years. There should be no reason that I'm going into work dreading it. I'm hating it, having anxiety, don't want to deal with the managers. Like, it's crazy. And then when you get that paycheck every 2 weeks and you look at it and it just no longer feels like it's worth the amount of stress that you had to deal with for it and the cost that it came with to get it, more than just your time. There are people literally supplementing their whole nursing income or making more than what they are making as a nurse on social media. So call me crazy or whatever. I mean, it probably sounds crazy now, but I think I'm serious. I'm really going to quit nursing and be a full-time content creator.
When you really think about how much expectation is put on you in those 12 and a half hours, it's a lot. And a lot of times, especially day shift, you may not even be able to take a break, like a full uninterrupted 30-minute break in those 12 and a half hours. So yeah, you could feel the burnout.
I quit my new grad nursing job. Well, even though I'm technically not a new grad anymore, I still do consider myself one. So I am a psych nurse, and I've been at the facility that I quit at ever since I got licensed. It was my first job ever, and the things that I've seen, ooh, child. But for the time that I've been there, I've seen so many people come and go, people get fired, upper management quit, stuff like that. So many times, it's kind of astonishing. I've also seen staffing go to hell and unit acuity increase like crazy, and it just wasn't a place where I wanted to be full-time. So spoiler alert, I am there per diem. I just couldn't do it full-time. While I'm still young, I have the option to basically explore my options and not settle until I really find a place and organization where I feel so comfortable enough to grow at. I actually really love my coworkers. Some people, they don't bangs with their coworkers and they feel like everything is overwhelming. I felt like my coworkers made it so much more bearable, and just made it like a great place to work at, for what we were working with. But please do not stay in no place longer than you have to. Honestly, explore your options because there's always something better for you out there, and you'll be surprised at what you see. Honestly, I feel like a lot of people at that job were there for so long because their coworkers had their back. But I just couldn't do it anymore. Like, coming into work not knowing if there was going to be a fist fight, if your supervisor would mandate you or breathe down your back, if someone would be eloping, if someone was gonna get fired. Like, it was always something, and yeah, that was interesting, but it wasn't something I wanted to be at for too long.
Take the time to explore, especially as a young nurse. Like, you have the time to explore. Definitely do it. Find what unit you like and what specialty you could see yourself doing for a while.
I've been a nurse for about 5 months, and I'm already on my second nursing job. For you guys who are new here, my name is Kiri, and I was a postpartum nurse working bedside. As you can tell by the introduction, I am no longer a bedside nurse. I am not that girl that is going to be a bedside nurse just to say I work at a hospital. That isn't me, so I just want to throw that out there. If you guys were following me for my previous journey, I was so excited about being a postpartum nurse. That's all that I wanted to do. I landed my dream job, and I did all of that, and now I'm just like, is this the place that I want to work at? Is these the people that I want to work with? So, you just go and ask yourself all of those questions. And I feel like this is pretty cliche because a lot of nurses, new grad nurses at that, are leaving bedside instantly. It's on their, second, third, and fourth job only because of the politics, because of the people that they work with. And if you don't find anywhere that you absolutely love, you're going to hate it. It's either going to be you're going to love it or you're going to hate it. There's no in between. No in between when it comes to a job that you are going to be at constantly, giving your all into the patients, into the people, into the workplace that you're working at, and be absolutely miserable. I'm on to my next nursing job, and I'm super excited. I'm getting paid more. That's always a plus, and it's not as many hours, so I'm really excited about that. I just had to deal with all of that, switching jobs, and just getting myself back stable into the new role that I'm in, and yeah.
It seemed like during 2020, a lot of states were needing help with nurses because there was such a large shortage of nurses that they were allowing nurses to get their temporary license. I even heard of nurses getting their temporary license before they got their official registered license. I don't know if this was before they took their examination, state exams, or after, but they just needed nurses on the floor. I'm pretty sure the nurses who started in 2020, 2021, 2022, they were kind of just hitting the ground running. And now I think they're experiencing a lot of the burnout because the politics is back. It wasn't there during the situation we had going on, but now the hospital politics is back, and it can definitely be an adjustment.
So I did a thing today. I decided to quit my nursing job today. After being a new grad nurse for 6-7 months, I said, this is not for me. I cannot do bedside. I don't want to do this anymore. I am okay. I think that I made the right decision, honestly. I was really praying about this yesterday and the day before because I was like, I don't know if I could do this no more. But I asked God to give me a sign, and he gave me that sign, and I decided to use that sign for me to quit my job, and I'm really happy that I did.
You definitely need a certain touch when it comes to bedside nursing because you're dealing directly with patient care, you're dealing with families, you're dealing with the whole healthcare team, and that requires a certain kind of touch, I would say, to it. Now, nursing is great. You can never touch a patient, you can never do bedside nursing and still be a registered nurse. But if that's the case, find that out quickly and make that pivot, because I'll tell you this, with bedside, you just don't want to be a cold nurse.
I would rather crash my car than go back to work in the ICU. That was the most miserable job I've ever had in my entire life. Before the ICU, I had no mental illness. Now I got depression. I got anxiety. I should see a therapist. I should probably be on medication, but here we are. You would think that seeing people literally die in a traumatic fashion, that would scar you. Turns out, it's just your shitty coworkers. I've told this before, but one coworker would only call me Jackie Chan. I wish I was Jackie Chan. And then one other coworker said that I belong doing kung fu in a dojo than being a nurse. I don't know where this comes from. And I would fantasize about crashing my car every day on the way to work because I would rather drive my car into a tree than go back to work. But I work in the ICU, so if I crash my car, I will just end up back at work. So I was just stuck. I'm out now, but I have friends who still work in the ICU, and you're one of the good ones. There are good ICU nurses out there, but my unit was just awful, and I just needed to get out, and I don't want to ever go back to a situation like that.
Yeah, I definitely understand. I've had dreams about arriving to work and they couldn't figure out what my schedule was. And then I was just sitting there stuck because they didn't know what my assignment was going to be and all this stuff. And then I woke up. Yeah, I have nightmares.
I honestly commend people who quit nursing and who drop out of nursing. I have more respect for the people who know it's not for them and don't do it than for the people who know it's not for them and go to work every day and do half but work, or always have a stink attitude. People who make the work environment very hostile because they're miserable within themselves. And instead of going to find something else that better suits them, they make all the other co-workers miserable too. They make work a living hell. So I commend the people who say, hey, I don't have the heart, and just quit, than the people who you have to work with, and every day it's a problem because they're not happy within themselves and they know they don't really want to be here. But because they like the paycheck, they stay, they make the patients miserable, and they make everyone around them miserable. Co-workers, everybody. And they make everyone's life a living hell, even the patients that they're supposed to be taking care of. So kudos to you, good job. And I commend the people who just say, hey, this is not for me, and walk away and quit and go find something else.
Again, you gotta be honest with yourself, because the last thing you want to deal with is a miserable nurse. That is a long shift, okay? It's long for the CNA, it's long for the charge nurse, it's long for the patient. Look, if you're having that burnout, you need to reassess yourself, take a break, take some PTO. You probably need to do some therapy, but you gotta realize the field you're in and pivot.
I'm quitting my nursing job. I'm quitting my nursing job. Yeah, I know, crazy. I have officially 2 weeks until I put my 2 weeks in. And honestly, this is a decision that I really struggled with because this is like the best nursing job I've ever had. Without a doubt. This is the most money I've been paid for nursing. I honestly think it's one of the highest paying nursing jobs in the country. And I'm about to quit. I'm about to quit. Oh my God. I'm about to quit with absolutely nothing lined up. Just vibes. I couldn't be more excited, y'all. I could not be more excited. Y'all know I've been burnt out from night shift, and I've gotten told no, that I can't switch to days for over a year now. I've been asking multiple times for over a year, and I still have not been switched to days. That's the biggest thing. I've told y'all night shift was ruining my life. I meant it. I'm willing to forgo the cash. I'm willing to forgo the prestige because night shift is ruining my life. That's the first thing. 2, y'all know I'm tired of the ICU. I'm tired. I'm done with the ICU. And working here, getting off night shift and getting out of the ICU, unfortunately, just is not an option. So yeah, I'm about to quit.
You sound so excited. That's how I was after my first nursing job. I lasted 8 months and I quit. It was just traumatic for me, but yeah, good for you.
When I went to nursing school, I never thought that I would leave the field within 5 years, but that's what happened. Within my first year as a nurse, I experienced burnout, bullying, lateral violence, retaliation. 2 years into my career, I was voluntold to become a charge nurse. Around that same time, the pandemic hit. Conditions progressively got worse. I tried speaking to leadership about this. The COO of my hospital told me that we weren't worth $1 more. After that conversation, my mental health progressively got worse. While working at the bedside, I lost my sense of self. I ended up on an antidepressant. I went back to therapy. I was a shell of myself because of my role. It got to the point where I was this bubbly, happy personality. Transporters would ask, like, you must love your job. You seem to really love what you do. And I did. And then it got to the point where I wasn't being asked that question anymore. At the end of 2021, my husband looked at me and he said, you haven't been present in like a year and a half. That was another sign that I had completely lost my sense of self. We had our wedding in December of 2021, and a week later, we got into a car accident. On Christmas Day, we were in matching pajamas in the emergency room of the hospital that I worked at. As we were being transported, the only thought that was coming up in my mind was, how the hell am I going to call in tonight? How are they going to get coverage on Christmas Day? Am I going to have to go back to work? A week after that, I started having some numbness and tingling in my right leg. Went to a neurologist. They recommended an MRI. Immediately after my MRI, the radiologist says, I have to call this in. Red flags. I knew that couldn't be good because normally things don't get expedited unless something is not good. I immediately call my neurologist. My follow-up appointment that was supposed to be for the next week gets pushed to the next morning. Red flag number 2. That's not good. The next day I go to that neurologist and they read me my results, and come to find out, I had a severe disc herniation with extrusion, which means like part of the disc was like floating in my spinal cord space. I don't know. It's something that's not supposed to be a thing, okay? I'm told that I'm at risk for Cauda-Equina syndrome, so if I have been lifting, sitting for too long, or bearing weight at all, I need to stop that immediately because I'm at risk for a medical emergency pretty much, where you lose function of your bowel and bladder and you can lose function of your lower limbs. That same week we were moving to a house from an apartment, and I was definitely moving things that I was not supposed to be moving. I initially thought I was going to be going back to work within a week. Like, I was texting my supervisor. I'm like, yeah, it should be a week. Should be 2 weeks. I don't know anymore, actually. My director never called me after the car accident. My director at the time never called me, never checked in. Nope. And everyone knew what had happened. I don't hear back from my director until 6 months later. Meanwhile, I've been wrangling with long-term disability and trying to get FMLA this entire time and struggling. This director does not call me. This director texts me to ask me if I can voluntarily resign because they're short-staffed and they can't hire someone else unless I voluntarily resign, unless I quit. Which would mean that I would lose my benefits and lose long-term disability. And I was so burnt out and disillusioned by everything I gave to this institution, including my physical body. I was like, you know what? Yep, this is fine. Sure, I'll voluntarily resign. I don't think that was legal. I think that was not legal. So, in hindsight, don't do what I did. Don't give up. Like, fight. But, yeah.
Wow, yeah, that's definitely rough. I would have let them fire me because it was justified. I had an accident, I wasn't able to work. I'm not giving up my benefits, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was definitely interesting to see why nurses are quitting. I definitely can understand it myself, and I hope you guys are kind to your nurses, and if you ever experience being in the hospital, be kind to them, be understanding. Some of them probably haven't had a break, and yeah, I hope you enjoy this. I'll see you in the next video. All right, bye.
Loving that you're a patina. Yeah,